everybody. Not sure what happened there. Technical problems. I'm assuming it was at my end. For some reason, we lost the connection. Our guest is back again. So hopefully everybody will soon join us all back again. Not sure what happened there. We're just waiting for Aham to join us back again so we can get up and running again. I do apologize about that. Internet problems. So we're talking everything photography, right? So Aham is joining us now. We're talking everything photography. Tell us about your experiences. All right, that's what we all want to hear about. Send me your questions. I'm not sure what happened there. I think it
Me
might have
neither.
been my end. I don't know why though, but they
Yeah, that's
probably
fine.
said connection was bad and decided to pause. So I sincerely apologize. So
That's
just to
fine. That's fine.
recap, we were talking about photography and model safety. And you
Yeah.
were saying that it's very important that when you go for a photo shoot, that
Yeah.
you take one or two friends with you, and that
Yeah.
when you do a shoot, being that you're a very ethical photographer, you sometimes have people with you, and maybe a
Mhm.
female person with you as well. And I
Mhm.
was just saying to the at the time before we got cut off that models will go for shoots, their phones are not charged. I never understand that. You know, how do you make an emergency phone call if you need to, or you
Mhm.
don't have credit, or they go to a shoot, nobody in their family knows the address, you know,
Yeah.
so if they have to come and look for you, how do they look for you? Do you understand? And then the final thing that I just wanted to say around that to models is that if you go in, for example, to do a let's just say a high fashion shoot where you're going to be fully clothed, you know, and then the next thing the photographer is saying that before he shoots you, he needs to see you naked or he needs to see you in your undies. These are warning signs.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be
Yeah.
happening. Or you walk
Yeah.
in there and it's not a nude shoot, and they say to you that, guys, sorry, there's nowhere to change, just change in the open, strip down. I don't want you in
Mm.
any underwear. The clothes I'm giving you, you shouldn't have underwear on. Once
Mm.
again, these are warning signs. Or if you come into a place and there's two or three men doing in the shoot with you as well, and you can see
Yeah.
that they're not really working on it, warning signs very politely, even if you just have to say something like, excuse me, let me just quickly make a phone call outside.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to arouse suspicion or put yourself in a difficult situation. Just say that, just, I'll be back in a second. I just quickly want to make a phone call. Go out and leave. It is
Yeah.
not by force.
I think
If
another
you're
problem
black,
is
mm-hmm.
sorry, go on.
Go on, no, go on, go on, go on.
Yeah, I think because I've worked with a lot of Nigerian models, and I see the one problem that I think that a lot of them have is they are they just have this. They're scared all the time. They're timid. They're shy. They feel like they are there to answer yes and no, and to speak when spoken to. And there's just this. What is the word? Slave mentality now. Like they just feel like it always feels like and it's not just it's sometimes it even sometimes it's the way the clients treat them. Okay, so they don't, a lot of them don't have a voice of their own, so they're not able to express themselves and say, hey, I've worked with models where say the stylist or the creative director who's in charge of the shoot, just we're doing a beauty shoot, for example, and I'm there with my camera like this, and then the creative director just goes to the model and then pulls her top down and exposes her breast or something, and then she sits there, she doesn't say anything. Okay, so I think I don't know, they should probably start having conversations about owning themselves and having their own voices. If they go into photo shoots and they're asked to do something that they're not comfortable with,
Mm-hmm.
they should speak up and say, hey, I'm not comfortable with this. I'm not, you know, because a lot of the times clients think, oh, I've hired this model and I've paid her, or I've paid the agency. She's going to be my, I don't know, my cow today. She's going to do my bidding. She's going to do whatever I ask. And that shouldn't always be the case. Another point that I should make here is the other day I was talking to a photographer on my IG live, and he came on and he said, he said, "Hey, I want to ask you a question." And I said, "What's it?" And he said, "How do you handle models? How do you handle female models?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He went on to say how female models actually throw themselves at him. Okay, so they will show up to his studio, and after the photo shoot, they'll start asking him for weed or alcohol, and these are also warning signs for us photographers. And that was the point he was trying to get across. He was basically saying models, sometimes us photographers are at the receiving end of this, whatever it is. Models throw themselves at photographers as well. So that's why I said initially that models are adults. Some of these models are adults too. So hey, if you're going into a photo shoot and you're targeting this male photographer for whatever it is you're targeting him for, and that's what you want to do, at the end of the day, as long as you're over 18, that's your business.
So, Aham, does that really happen?
Do you?
That female
It does.
models will come and throw themselves at photographers? What's the
It
game?
does happen. It does happen. I don't know. You can't deny the fact that sometimes such photographers are seen as some sort of superstars. We have these models actually see us as superstars of some sort. We tend to have this power to, transform a model to, I don't know, some Kim Kardashian type thing or whatever. But they've always seen us as that, and I think it's the rock star status, plus some other sinister agendas that they might have. I'm not sure what that might be anyway. But yes, it does happen, and I've heard from other photographer friends of mine that it happens in their studios. So sometimes that's what the models want. I'm talking about the female models now. I'm not sure about the male models and the female photographers anyway. Never heard of that anyway. But yeah, it does happen.
It's very interesting because it then potentially brings the industry into disrepute, because you have a situation whereby models are throwing themselves. So it's very possible that model may go out and talk bad about that photographer and tarnish that photographer's name.
Yeah.
Because he was trying to be professional and do his job. So how do you manage that situation?
Simply put your foot down and say, hey, I'm not interested I don't have weed or alcohol to ply you with. I'm here to do a job. We're done shooting. You can leave my studio. I've always been, from the onset, I guess my biggest fear was this thing you just said. I always feared the idea of, models talking amongst themselves about me. I always, that was the one thing that kept me in a straight path. Because I'm human. I'm not going to sit here and say this was when I was single, and I was I was just starting out in photography. I was trying to build a portfolio, so I was working with a lot of these models. Okay, and I that fear of, I just didn't want to go around and start talking about, oh, okay, that photographer sleeps around with models. If you go there, be sure that he would hit on you and blah blah blah. And for me, that was the one thing that kept me on the straight path. So in order to avoid that, I decided to be professional about my work and focus on my
it's not easy
on my career. It's not easy at all. I promise you. It's not.
Well, I mean, Seb says this. I mean, he runs an agency as well, and he says, well, for my part, I don't believe that female photographers come to be involved with it. So I think female models come to be involved with a photographer. In this case, it is not a serious shooting. contrary to my photographer will try. Seb, I'm not quite trying to take advantage because they are not serious. So basically, what I think he's trying to say here, Seb, I'm not sure if I'm getting you, but I think what you're trying to say is that if the photographer is not serious or the model is not serious, one of them tries to take advantage of the other. But I think he's trying to say
Yeah,
that if the model is serious, then
yeah.
everyone's going to be
That will never
professional.
happen. Yeah,
And
yeah,
there are other models that are on here, and I think models should give their comments as well. Is that
yeah.
your view? So well, I
No,
think if we look at what
well,
Seb is saying, he's saying that. Go,
yeah.
go
Well,
ahead.
I've seen. To be honest, I've seen it. I've seen it happen a lot when, we do test shoots a lot. So I'm trying to build a portfolio. I have this grand photography inspiration I've gotten from somewhere, and I need to, do a shoot. I reach out to these models um, um, to do the shoot. Now it's just me and them. It's not. I'm giving them pictures for their portfolio. I'm getting pictures for my portfolio. I'm getting this inspiration out of my mind, creating these beautiful works. So it's usually in these situations, okay, so where it's a direct relationship between, it's a direct and brief relationship between me and the model. Okay, that's where some of these things begin to happen, because I wouldn't imagine that, a client, for example, say a fashion designer, would bring in models to my studio, and then I've seen it happen sometimes in other photographer studios where, whilst it's supposed to be a professional setting, okay, there's a fashion lookbook going on. The photographer is shooting the models. You still look in the corner, and then you see the photographer asking the model for her phone number, or, what she's doing later after the shoot, and it happens. But at the end of the day, it's about discipline. It's about being professional, and that's how it's always been for me.
Okay, so let me ask you another question now.
Yeah,
A lot of complaints that I get from models is this: that they go to a photographer, they
hmm,
agree to do the shoot. Maybe it's
yeah,
a TFT, time for print, and then you're going to give them pictures, and then you tell them that you're just doing it for your portfolio. Then the
yeah,
next thing is they see their pictures being used on in a commercial setting.
yeah,
Um, my question on that, and I've seen it as well, and I've had to take, in some cases, legal action against photographers and their clients for it.
yeah.
How can models safeguard themselves against that? And or why does that sort of thing happen?
Um, well, there needs to be communication. I think that's the one thing that is always missing when this type of thing happens. For me, it happens a lot. Like, for example, just yesterday, somebody sent me an email saying that they want to use one of my images for a book cover in the US, and that image um, is an image of a model, a male model, for example. So I just started thinking, okay, if I'm going to, I would obviously, one, have to have a conversation with the model,
Hmm.
or two, I can go ahead and give the image to this client, get paid for it, and then reach out to this model and say, hey, I need to compensate you somehow. Okay, you need to get paid somehow, because this image is being used commercially somewhere
Hmm.
for something. Okay, so it could go either way. But again, back to the point I made earlier, I see a lot of Nigerian models just thinking that they don't have a voice. You see that happen. Take legal action if you can. But then it happens to the best of us, even us photographers. There's a lot of times when we do shoots for clients, and it's supposed to be a birthday shoot, for example, and then somebody calls you and says, "Hey, we've just seen your image on or your picture on a billboard in London," and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. But for me, the key thing here is communication. Okay. Um, we don't do a lot of model releases
Yeah.
in Nigeria, and that's something that we should be taking really seriously. When there are model release forms, and then the photographers and the models understand that, hey, this shoot is between me and you, but should something is from this shoot, say if Coca-Cola reaches out to me, for example, tomorrow to say, hey, they want to use this image, so whatever the release form says in the agreement, if I have to remit a certain percentage to you, the model, then we can agree on a percentage. Okay, some of these release forms have clauses where they totally exempt the models from receiving any sort of compensation. But that it's just industry standard. But for me, it's all about communication. Communication before the shoot or even after the shoot.
There's a
It's also
point that you
human nature
raised
for me.
earlier.
But yeah.
There's a point you raised earlier, which I would take issue with you on, okay?
Okay.
Which is that you said that somebody's reached out to you, they want
Yeah.
to use the picture for a book cover.
Book cover, yeah.
And you gave two options,
Mhm.
okay? And the two options were you reach out to him, you tell the model, this is what I want to do, and then
Yeah.
you do it. Or,
Yeah.
and the one I have the issue with is the second option, where you say you go to the client, you take the money, and you come back, and then you pay the model.
Well, that's
Okay.
only when I can't say I can't reach the model.
Yes. Well, let's
Because this particular model is.
I agree. Let's even say that for the sake of argument that you couldn't reach the model.
I know
and
where
you
you're
had to
going
go
with
for
this.
that option. You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going. You already know where I'm going. All right. So this is I'm kind of lecturing a little bit, but I'm also trying to make a valid point here.
Okay.
One of the things that Aham central that models do not do is model release form. Photographer take a picture of you form to say how that photographer can that picture. He owns the copyright and can use the picture as he pleases. Models don't seem to understand that.
Yeah.
This is what puts them into a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
All right. Now, what you are saying that you would have gone down the second option if you hadn't got them. If you have full copyright, like as I said, you don't even have to give that model compensation. That's the truth. And if they took you to court, I don't know how it works in Nigeria, but anywhere else in the world, they will lose. I mean, you've had those situations whereby you see photographers, paparazzi, take pictures of a Beyonce or a celebrity on the street, and the next thing it appears in the Inquirer or some horrible magazine, and they try to sue, but they can't because they say, well, you're a public figure. They've taken a picture of you on the street or wherever it is. Nothing you can do. So the issue that we have here now is models be aware of model release form. You can do one yourself. You can download it and you can say to the photographer, this is for private use. You can use it for this. I can use it for this. You can't use it for anything else.
True.
Protect yourself. But are you, let me ask you this question. We like to be a little bit controversial here, all right? Are you taking advantage of the Nigerian situation when you say that you're going for the second option?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Now, me, look, I'm a different type of person. I'm a different type of photographer. I'm just saying, now this is the scenario. If now this guy, he was just starting out in his career as a model. Now, if I sell that image, for example, to this author for say $10,000, there's no way I'm going to take all that money and not give this guy something.
This is you.
That's
Let's
where
be
no,
serious
no, no.
now.
no,
This
I'm
is
no, I'm
you.
being no, no. I'm being honest.
90% of photographers will chop that money by themselves.
I agree, and I can't speak for those other photographers, but this is just me. This is just me. Like, no matter how small, like even if it's $500 or $100, and my fear here is because I'm sure this guy is going to see that image somewhere
Of course.
or somehow, and if he sees it, of course, he's going to call me to say, "Hey, yo, I saw my picture on the book cover. Like, what's up?" And then what would I have to say to him? So this is me just being, I don't know, being a human being, having empathy. So I know for sure that the one thing that I would do would be to reach out to the model and find a way to say, "Hey, hold this one," you know. And it's. I can't speak for other photographers, but I can imagine that that's what they would do.
Okay, so I have a
And I'm sure it
question
happens
here
a lot.
from Wiry, and she said, if I pay a photographer, if I
Yeah.
pay, so this is not free, she's
Mhm.
paying. So if she
Mhm.
pays a photographer to do a shoot, does that photographer have the right to keep using their pictures for publicity of his work? Or at what point does he have to stop using those pictures?
The photographer owns the rights, the entire rights to the images. So he has the right to do whatever he wants with those images.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, he doesn't.
Yes,
No,
he
he
does.
does not. Not if he's
Yes, he
paid.
does.
Not if he's paid.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, he does. Even if
If
it's
he's
paid,
paid,
you get. Yes. Now this is a conversation
okay.
for. We might need to involve a copyright lawyer here,
Mm-hmm.
but there are varying accounts and varying what's it called ideas as far as copyrights go. But the general copyright rule is, as far as I'm the photographer, or the thing is, whoever takes, the camera, yes, whoever presses that shutter button and takes the image is the owner of that image.
Not if it's paid.
Even when it's
This one,
paid, yes.
I've actually gone to court for this one. So I know this. I don't know in Nigeria, but abroad, not if it's paid, because there's a transaction. It's like me paying. It's like you going to a supermarket, paying for food, and me the supermarket comes back and says, "No, I'm going to take the food back from your house, even though you bought the food from me."
But that's it.
It doesn't
But
work
this is a
like that.
different type of commodity. This is a different type of commodity. This is photography.
Okay.
It's a
So
different type
if
of commodity.
let's look at Wiry's situation. So she's paid for the services. She comes into
Yeah.
you and says, "I want to do a portrait shoot of myself, and
Okay.
I'm paying you. It is my portrait for me."
Mm-hmm.
What then are you saying gives you the right via copyright that you can now use that portrait for commercial means?
Without the consent of. No, I can't do that
Yes.
I can't do that without the client or the model's consent. That would be what? That would be totally wrong. I would need the client's consent to do whatever business that I need to do with those images.
So are you saying that in every instance,
Yeah.
when a model or anyone takes a picture with a photographer, they must agree in
Mm-hmm.
writing that the
Yeah.
photographer gives up their copyright? Is that what you're saying?
Somehow, yes. Yes. But
Hmm.
copyright is broad, and copyright is a lot of copyright is so twisted that these days I don't even know what's right and what's wrong anymore. Like if you go into the
Mr. Gray
nitty-gritty
is
of
agreeing
copyright.
with you. I mean, Mr. Gray is agreeing with you. They're saying, but the client still has usage rights. I can't believe. I mean,
Yeah, the
I would
client
have a
still has
problem.
usage rights, but I'm saying the photographer has the total rights to those images.
But I would have a problem with that. So imagine this now. Yeah, pretend I'm
Yeah.
female. Yeah, I
Okay.
come
Okay.
I come to you, Aham, and I say, look, you do amazing portrait um, photography. All right. I want
Mm-hmm.
to take
Mm-hmm.
I want to do something for my boyfriend or for my husband. I want to take a picture just for
Mm-hmm.
him. and
Yeah.
I come to you and I tell you, I told you verbally that that's what I'm doing, you say, this is the price.
Yeah.
We agree a price. I pay you. You do the shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can, what you are now telling me that you can now decide, because you own the copyright, or because of somebody else sees it and loves it, that you can now sell that picture to somebody else, with or without my consent.
If I'm a dodgy photographer, yes. But I'm saying that I would, yeah. But I would seek the client's consent. I would seek your consent first before doing that. But if I was to be a
So
dodgy photographer, I would do do exactly that, and I'll get away with it. And we can fight ourselves in the court of law. And I would win the case.
I'm not sure you win the case.
Well,
On that one, I'm not sure you win the case because there was a transaction that was agreed. And in the
yeah,
transaction,
but it
it
was
was
just a
very,
transaction. It was just a transaction. But if there was a contract binding that transaction, saying, hey, this is how you can use these images, and this is how you cannot use these images, then yes. But if there's no contract, if it's just a verbal,
no, but once money comes into it, you know that there's a contract, even if there's no verbal. If I come to you and I say, I'm taking portrait with you, here's money for portrait, that is a contract. That is not giving you the right to to use my pictures commercially. It's a contract.
but
I don't have to have that in writing because I
does that
came to
stand
you
in the
for a
court of law?
portrait picture. Sorry?
That doesn't stand in the court of law.
I bet you it will. Because the evidence is the
No.
portrait picture.
No, there needs to be a written contract.
No, but verbal contract
there
shouldn't
needs,
suffice. You do know that. If you can prove a verbal contract
well,
by the
yes.
fact that there was a transaction.
If you can prove that, yes.
Yes.
Then yes.
So the transaction would actually have been the portrait. So they go and say, look, this is my portrait picture that I took for my husband or my boyfriend or I took for my wife, whatever it is. This is it. I paid him to do that. His specialty is portrait. How do I now suddenly appear on an Apple advert? I think you're struggling. You see what I would do in that situation, and this is a warning to people out there: don't sue the photographer, sue the client. That's your easiest way around it. I said what my advice and what a judge told me when I had this situation in the UK was the judge said, don't sue the photographer, sue the client.
The client, yeah.
Because if you sue the client will have the power to sue the photographer, and they will win. And that client will never do that. That photographer will never do that again.
Yeah.
You understand?
That's true.
Because
That's
the client did not own the copyright. And they made sure that the photographer had the permission and the copyright to use that person for a commercial venture.
Yeah.
You understand? And the other reason why you sometimes may not win on this one, sorry, I know we're dragging this one a bit, but it's something that lots of people have spoken about time and time again. For instance, now, I am sorry about it, Mr. Mahogany, all right? I come to Aham, I say, take a picture of me. You take a picture of me. You're not going to use the picture with Coca-Cola without my permission. However, I'm under contract to Pepsi. So I've breached my condition. You cannot then say, well, you had the copyright, so therefore you could do it as you please. You will not win that, even if there's nothing in writing. Do you get what I'm saying? So, guys, that's why we say sue the client, because then Coca-Cola can just say, fine, I'm suing, Pepsi can say, I'm suing Coke. Coke, because of the damage to their reputation and all of that sort of stuff, will remove that, will do a compensation deal with you, and will most likely strike off that photographer and never use them again. So reputable photographers will not do that. I hope that answers people's questions. Bella said in Nigeria, people don't actually know what copyright is, and it is true.
I was just going to say that.
Can you explain to people what is copyright, Aham, please?
Copyright is ownership of a lot of the times intellectual property. creative property. So
Okay.
that's basically what copyright is: the total ownership of works created by a creative. So a photographer, a painter, whatever it is you do in the creative arts, copyright ownership is you owning total rights of the work that you've created. And that's basically what it is. But I
So,
was
for
going to say,
example, go on. Go on.
I was going to ask a question. So, seeing as we live in a different society, we live in a society where anything goes. Okay,
Right.
you've talked about how you had a copyright case
Yeah.
outside of Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, given the society that we live in, that we can win a lot when we have, these kinds of problems?
When you say we, who is the we?
Nigerians. I guess
So,
the point I'm trying
on the
to,
client side or on the
I guess the point I'm
photographer
trying
side?
to make here is nothing works in Nigeria.
Okay.
So if you say, hey, it worked for you in outside of this country, that I can totally understand that. But over here, it's difficult. I'm a photographer, yes. I've had my works on Coca-Cola bottles. And it was just a shoot that I did for an artist that came to the studio. This one particular shoot wasn't even paid. Okay, so it was one of those, hey, you're my friend.
Yeah.
Hey, come to the studio and I'll do a shoot for you. Next thing, it ended, my wife called me one day to say, hey, your image is on this Coca-Cola bottle that I'm holding. And that thing went worldwide, and I never got compensated for it.
Okay. So,
Was there anything I could
this
do
is the
about it?
issue
Not
that you
really.
face. Yes. There was
Yeah.
something that you could have done about it. Okay.
Okay, which
But
is?
there's two things you're going to have to bear in mind when you consider whether you can do about it. Now, I'm going to break it down for you into different aspects.
Yeah.
If it is a Nigerian company that did it, yes,
Yeah.
and not a well-known brand, you are going to have problems. So if it's Mr. Joe Blogs or me, Mahogany, you're wasting your time. All right?
No.
If it's a
Okay.
major brand like a bank or a insurance company, somebody that has a big brand, a well-known reputation. I'm talking about Nigerian
This
based
was
at the moment.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah, I know. I'm coming to that. So I'm just breaking it down into the two elements. So if it's a well-known brand,
yeah,
yes, you can still sue them. The issue that you have in that respect is, do you have the time? Do you have the money? And are you prepared to be tied up in court? And I'm going to give you an example of how it works. I'm going to give you an example of how it works.
I was trying to make.
All right. So that somebody breached this copyright.
Yes.
Right. So the second one is this.
Okay.
As it was Coca-Cola that used it, and as the advert went out of Nigeria, don't sue in Nigeria, sue in Atlanta, the head office. They would have compensated you. Because the moment it leaves Nigeria, you don't have to sue the principal company. You can sue the company, the head office. Because their lawyers, their copyright, everybody should have done due diligence.
Yeah.
So you would have filed in a UK court. I'm sorry, in an American court. They would have settled with you. There's no two ways about it. Because to take it all down, because you would have got an injunction, to take it all down, the cost would have been phenomenal. So they would have come back to you, they would have paid you your fees, they would also have done a buyout. You understand about buyout? They would have given you a buyout fee to say, we want to now use this worldwide, this is what we're paying you for 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and would have signed a non-disclosure agreement. So they would have said, they're not agreeing that they did anything wrong, you cannot disclose this settlement, take your money and go, and they will give you credit. And that's how it have moved on in those two cases. Now, let me tell you why it does work with the big brands in Nigeria. Okay, we had a situation whereby a big brand had done a photo shoot with a particular model and a particular modeling agency. This is a true life story. This is not made up. This is a fact. And I know about it because I had to advise both parties. They went and did the shoot. They now started to do advertising of that shoot in a number of countries outside of Nigeria, as well as in Nigeria. But they had not paid the model.
Okay.
The modeling agency said, again, I got you. Wrote to them, hit them immediately with a solicitor's letter from Nigeria, not abroad, and said, we're hereby giving you notice that you have used our client, you have used our model picture without permission, without paying, without this, without that. Yeah. Client came to me because I was working with them at the time and they know that I know a lot about these things. Came to me and said, what is the situation? I said, listen, you are in trouble. You cannot use somebody's image without paying them. The moment you pay them, you own the right and you can do what you do. But you can't go ahead and do it without paying them. It's not possible. My suggestion is go and reach a deal. So if the fee was 1 million naira, come and say, oh yeah, we'll give you 2 million. Bye-bye. Go away and do a sign off on it and say, this was full and final right. Here's your 2 million. Client was doing I don't want to say this and that. Woman now sent a letter to the UK offices of this same Nigerian bank and said, we are giving you 7 days notice because they were using it in the UK as well. That we're taking to court. Immediately that happened, and all these things happen, it creates a problem. What did they do? They came back and said, okay, what does the woman want? The agency said they wanted something like about 10 million. The original fee was 500K. I imagine. They said they wanted 10 mil. In the end, they settled for about half of that. But what I am saying is that if you are prepared to fight it and you know the rules, and if it is a big brand, you're okay. But if it's a Mahogany, forget it, guys. They will tie you up in court for the next 10 years. I don't care about my reputation. You can go and put me on social media. I don't care. You get, but the brands don't like it. So that's how you deal with it. So one still has to be careful because even in Nigeria now, we are signed up to international laws around copyright. So one should not just think that, well, I'm in Nigeria, I can get away with it because I can take it outside of Nigeria. Make that mistake. If you put it on social media, it has immediately become international. So I could potentially sue, Instagram or YouTube for breaching my copyright, which is one of the reasons why you see YouTube continuously take down videos because they say you have breached somebody's copyright. Instagram might mute your music. You have breached somebody's copyright. If we're in Nigeria now, should I not be able to do it? Same thing applies to photographers. All right? So, guys, this is a lesson in copyright, and it's something you should be careful of. Aham has said it very clearly. Do a simple agreement, even if it's just an email. It suffices. It's okay. So, quickly moving on, our time is coming soon to an end. I want to talk to you about money. Models are always complaining that photographers are always ripping them off. That why do you charge so much money for a shoot? Yeah. After charging them money for the shoot and we're sort of going back again, you then go and use their publicity. Sorry, you then go and use their pictures for publicity and make money again on that. What's going on? Explain what's the issue, how does it work?
Well, for me, I've always had, to be honest, I've never really had to pay models. Okay, when I need to create portfolios or build my portfolio, I reach out to these models, and it's usually it's a quid pro quo thing. You give me, I give you. Okay, we're both getting pictures. You're getting pictures for your portfolio. I'm getting pictures for my portfolio. So I personally I've never really paid. think when I started off, yes, the few models that charged me to work with me, I paid them a certain fee. But that's the problem with the models and the clients, because a lot of times us photographers work with the clients bring these models. So if I'm doing a fashion shoot, for example, in my studio, I don't have any, I usually don't have any direct relationship with the models. The models they come with, or they are brought to my studio, or they are brought to the shoot by the clients. By clients, I mean, it could be the fashion designer. Okay, so they'll be in the best position to answer this question. I don't have that sort of relationship with them.
So Mr. Gray says there's a difference between a test and a job. Do you get? So if you're doing a test, the charge may not be that much, but if it's a job,
yeah. So there's been a few times when clients have asked me to reach out to models for shoots. So then I reach out to these models. If they are attached to agencies, I reach out to the agencies to say, hey, we're interested in using model A and model B. What are the charges? And we sort that out, and they show up and we do the shoot. But that doesn't happen a lot with me. It doesn't happen a lot with me. I always, the clients always handle the models. I hardly pay the models that I work with.
Okay, but
for me, it's always,
speaking, so if we put you aside, generally speaking, I mean, you have colleagues in the industry. I'm sure you hear things. What is the general view out there about charging? And our charges, are they reasonable? Are we overpriced? What is the situation that, like Wyrie says, do you have cases where models pay you for a shoot, which I'm sure you do? So they pay you directly. I mean, you said a lot of times it's with the client. And then if they pay you directly, how do you come up with your fees? How do we know something is reasonable or not?
For models?
Yes.
I can't speak a lot to this. I don't deal with models directly in my line of work.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not a fashion photographer. The fashion photographers will be in the best position to answer this. A lot of the times, the models that come to my studio, they're being brought by somebody else. So it's either the makeup artist brings them, or the creative stylist brings them, the hair person brings them, or the client brings them. So I can't really speak to this point.
Sorry. Okay, but you think
yes,
that
but I've heard
generally,
some.
I mean, outside.
Sorry, I've heard some reasonable prices. I've heard, and some not so reasonable prices as far as what models charge or what modeling agencies charge anyway. So again, I can't really speak to, because I don't work with them directly a lot. I can't really speak to what's fair and what isn't. If that makes any sense.
Okay, I get what you're saying. What's your final take or advice that you'd like to give to the models that are listening to this IG Live, or anything you want to tell them?
Be focused. Be very professional. I've worked with really professional models. Know what you want, and most especially, I think my biggest advice to Nigerian models would be, find your voice. Okay? Know that you are a human being and not some animal. Okay? When you go into photo sets or whatever, video sets, know that you're not just some animal who's being told, hey, take off your clothes here in front of everybody and do this and do that. Oh, we're going to pour ink on you, and we're going to treat you this way and whatever. Know that you have a voice. Know that you can say no. I'm not comfortable with doing this. Regardless of whether if you've been paid or not, if your agency has been paid or not. Like, if you're not comfortable with something you're being asked to do, speak up and say you're not comfortable with it. and find a way to, if you need to refund them, if you need to leave, whatever it is, always try to protect yourselves. For the female models, I would always advise to, go with a friend or two, at least two friends, not just one. Go with two friends, okay, so that you have company, you're comfortable around. You know that you have people that you're comfortable around, and it's not just you and the photographer. Again, be very professional. Don't go there asking for weed and alcohol and whatnot. Because if that's the vibe you're giving off, and that's the vibe the photographer is getting, if the photographer is that kind of guy, hey, he would read those messages and interpret them to mean that you're looking for something else. So, be professional, okay? Go with a friend or two, and know that you have a voice. Always speak up when you're not comfortable about anything it is. These are my advices. Yeah.
Aham, it's been lovely having you on the show. Thank you so much. It's been very insightful. You've passed on a lot
Thank you for having me.
to be useful. I'm sure models will bear it in and it will help them in their work in terms of what they're doing. We really appreciate you taking time out this evening to talk to us and hopefully look forward to having you again in the near future. I'm going to round up now, but thank you so much and good night.
Thank you. Good night.
So, guys, you've had this talk today about the models. I've still got a few more minutes left. If any of you have got some direct questions you want to ask me, I'd also love to know what is it that you guys want us to talk about. Who are the kind of guests that you want to have on the model boardroom? What would be useful to you as models? Throw out. So either send us a DM and contact Anthony. Put some comments here. Let us know because this is about you. So we want to know what you guys want. But it's been a great evening. Thank you so much for joining us. We have Fashion's Finest Africa tomorrow, where we're going to have Anita Kwanzaa from London, UK, talking about African brand in the diaspora. We're back again, of course, next week, Tuesday, Mahogany International, Wednesday for Mahogany from Mahogany Models, and also Thursday for Fashion Finance Africa. Lady Cincy 06, you wanted to come on board. Send us a question if you got one. I'll quickly answer it. So, guys, we're here for you. It's your boardroom. I'm only the chairman. You're the board of directors. So please send your questions to me. Please see us again. Like our videos, like our pages, tell people about it, spread the word, make sure that you be the best you can be in everything that you're doing in terms of your modeling career. Also, stay safe, guys. Very important that you stay safe because this corona, it is real. All right, everybody. Thanks for being around and good night.
Waka waka baby, guru baby. I go tell my mama, I go tell my papa, and I go tell am say, waka waka baby.